Now, our next task has to do with cleaning up metadata, which has everything to do with, for some reason, an Active Directory domain controller died. It exploded. You poured coffee on it. One of the variety of things that just completely crashes a domain controller and prevents you from bringing it back online. Well, there are a couple ways now to actually clean up the metadata. In the old days, you had to use ntdsutil, and I'll still show you the command because it can come in handy. But in fact, if we look up here on our server, dc.company.pri, and we go to Active Directory users and computers, I just want to show you this other machine here, this DC2 domain controller that we haven't really worked with. DC2 is a domain controller that we can presume is dead. I spilled coffee on it and it exploded. And so because of that, I've got to somehow get it out of Active Directory. I am told that here in Windows Server 2012 and R2 that there is some automatic processes that go into removing a lot of this metadata should you just simply remove the domain controller object here from Active Directory users and computers. However, I want to also show you the method to accomplish this using ntdsutil. If for some reason the process that you go through and just simply deleting it from Active Directory users and computers does not function for one reason or another. Let's go back here to our elevated command prompt where I want to show you just the commands you can use with ntdsutil to accomplish this task. So let me clear the screen again and we'll do ntdsutil. And this time we'll focus ourselves on the metadata cleanup submenu. In the submenu, this allows us to remove selected domains or naming contexts or servers out of Active Directory. So essentially the cleanup of this data that for one reason or another is orphaned. Let's get rid of that server DC2. Now, in order to do this, we've got a fairly complex series of commands we need to set the focus appropriately for the machine. There is a way that you can go through and fully qualify the distinguished name of this machine, but sometimes it's easier just to go through this long list of connections that we'll need to do in order to specifically target the machine that we want to remove. Let's start by doing connections. From here, we then need to connect to an available server that we can use to identify the domains and sites and machines that are available. So let's connect to server DC. That binds us to our domain controller DC using the local credentials, essentially my credentials since I'm logged in. Then from here, we then need to identify what the target is going to be for the operation we want to do. So let's quit out here and go back to select operation target, which is the bottom item down here. So for select operation target, it's here where we need to then identify the domain, the site, and then also the machine name that we want to remove. So let me do list domains. I only have one domain here, which is domain 0, so select domain 0. I then need to list the sites. So we have one site as well, so select site 0. And then I need to list the servers in the site, which will be 0, 1, and 2, corresponding to DC, DC2, and RODC1. It's this DC2 machine that I want to remove, so let's do select server 1. Now again, this is all just a very complex series of tasks that are there to construct this distinguished name that can be used for removing this server. With this server now appropriately targeted, let's back out of here and go back to our metadata cleanup menu where we can complete this process by removing the selected server. This will remove the server at that server object, cn equals DC2, cn equals servers, the site name here, so the default first site name, sites, configuration object, and then company.pri being our actual domain itself. If I hit the yes button here, that will go through the removal of that DC2 object, and now it's out of our Active Directory database. You may need to then go through, for example, your DNS records to remove it out of all the different DNS records where it may exist. I will suggest also that after you accomplish this, and if you do go to your DNS records over here, not only would you want to remove it manually from the A records that exist here in company.pri, so DC2 that, well, obviously is not here right now, but you may also need to go through the individual records that are the service records associated with the domain as well. You'll notice here that it's been removed from DNS Manager, but if it for some reason is not, you may need to step through all of these little subfolders here, these subdomains, and ensure that every instance of DC2 has been pulled from DNS.